Thursday, May 1st, 2025. Happy May, my favorite month of the year. Before we dive on into this, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you end up enjoying this video and you get any value out of it, and comment in the comment section, all for the algorithm. But okay, let's go ahead and dive on in from Black Widow Bitcoin here. This is an interesting fractal. I mean, it looks like we're playing along with it quite well, and so will we continue. This would put us at $150,000 Bitcoin in August. I have given my opinion that I don't think we're going to get that high, and that we're going to reach the 1-teens, something like that. But I would love to be wrong. That sounds great. Okay, so where would we go from here after this? Well, actually, we are near a peak. We're near a peak, and we're going to go down to about $84,000. And of course, when I go live, everyone's going to be terrified, saying it's over, and asking if they should sell their crypto, and then boom, bounce back up to $100,000 and breaking through. We're in June, and then big spike in June, and then $150,000 by August. What would be the catalyst to send us there this time around? Because we know what the catalyst was in 2024, November of 2024. Donald Trump won. So much hope, so much excitement for what was going to come with the most pro-crypto president of all time. I mean, not that that's saying much, but we saw the catalyst. So I'm just wondering, let's say that this does happen, what would a catalyst be this time? I don't know. That's why I'm more of a mindset that we're not going to go that high by August, and that would this time be different when we have sell in May and go away being a thing. And again, I've given my thoughts as to what sell in May and go away would look like. So let's see what Black Widow has to say here. 84K is the 58K of last year. Not bad. Not a fractal fan, but the build remains similar. It really does. The timing is lining up, so don't be surprised if we retest the 84K area again into the start of May and accelerate afterwards. The retest doesn't have to happen since we are technically efficient, but be prepared anyway. That will probably be your best re-entry plan if we're going to continue accelerating into the summer. Invalidation of retest and end of fractal is reclaim and hold 96K. TikTok, we'll find out soon. So hey, we break through 96K and hold it, then this fractal, throw it away. But it really is interesting to look at. There's some other things that are also of a similar structure that we can see just this entire bull market from the bottom at the end of 2022. So you see where my mouse is here, 2023 to 2025, but this first part here, days elapsed since the bottom. The bottom was November 10th of 2022. And you can see where we've put in similar structures here with the price of Bitcoin, and then broken up and had a nice break above, and then a similar structure. We're consolidating, putting in slightly lower lows, and then a break to the higher side, and then another period here where maybe we're consolidating and doing the same thing, but then eventually breaking up. What's the upside target? $137,000 or so. So Timothy Peterson here says, the 4 things I'm watching that point to a new Bitcoin all-time high in 100 days. I think Bitcoin's going to hit a new all-time high before then, but that's just my opinion. In order of least importance to most important, day 1 continue tomorrow. The trend. The trend is your friend. That is an age-old rule with trading, and we can see the trend. I already pointed that out. However, this trend has been A, ongoing for 2 years, and B, reflective of underlying adoption economics. If this trend holds, Bitcoin would be 135 plus in the foreseeable future. So there's something about this particular thing that I'm highlighting right here, the trend. The trend is your friend. However, this trend has been A, ongoing for 2 years, and B, reflective of underlying adoption economics. There is something different in terms of this cycle that is always in the back of my mind. Even though I'm bearish for the end of 2025, I have to acknowledge that the level of adoption that we're seeing with Bitcoin in 2024, 2025 is not, it's much more significant than the level of adoption, institutional adoption, and nation state adoption that we've seen at any other point in Bitcoin's history. So maybe there's a corner of my mind that maybe this is just going to be the thing for the foreseeable future is that we pump, consolidate, but we will see. Time will tell. Let's move on. Another bullish thing here. Bitcoin has broken above its daily Ichimoku cloud. The cloud is now achieving a bullish crossover. The last time this happened was in late September 2024, around 64K, and you know what happened after that. We rallied up to $108,000. So late September 2024, broke above the Ichimoku, turned green. We're permanently green, not permanently, but long-term green in October. Broke well above that, and we were off to the races. We were just getting rejected on the daily. This is a daily chart. Yes, daily. Keep on getting rejected, but just had a clean breakthrough the Ichimoku cloud, and now we're above. I don't pay much attention to Ichimokus. I will be honest with that, but I do follow some people who do, and there's no denying that this is a good sign for something hopefully bullish to come. Moving on, I just thought this was funny. Jerome Powell as what's his name from Game of Thrones? Oh man. Is it Ned something? I never watched Game of Thrones, which I know you guys are going to kill me for that. Sean Bean, the actor, right? But Jerome Powell's face being superimposed over what's his name from Game of Thrones. So we have 2013. Printer is coming. 2013, 2017, 2021, and now. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that's a little dramatic. Whatever. It's just interesting correlation here. Another thing from Smiley Pox Rat Poison. Thank you so much, Smiley Pox Rat Poison, for your thoughts here, your perspective. I have a lot of Bitcoin stuff and then a lot of S&P 500 stuff, and I think this is the last one for Bitcoin. We have Glassnode, Bitcoin's hot capital. Some of coins moved in the last 24 hours plus 1 day to 1 week, reached $39.1 billion on April 28th, its highest since February 10th. This metric captures short-term holder activity and is a proxy for speculative asset capital entering the market. So what do we make of this? I mean, let me show you the next tab. Just look at what we've seen with the spot Bitcoin ETF. We've seen billions of dollars. We've seen lots and lots of accumulating from the spot Bitcoin ETFs lately. And then we have a lot of movement, which means there's been different cohorts buying and selling and transacting in Bitcoin. So there's been heavy sell volume matched with heavy buy volume. When that happens historically, the buy volume tends to move out because the sellers just get exhausted. So let's look at this next chart here. Also, since 21 April, Bitcoin hot capital rose from 20.7 billion to 39.1 billion, an increase of 18.7 billion or 92%. This is one of the fastest upticks in short-term realized cap in recent months, signaling a surge in active capital turnover. This will cool off. And when it cools off, if we're still seeing this level of buying from the spot Bitcoin ETFs, we will go higher. That is not an opinion, that's a fact. So we'll see. Will this level of buying remain the same? Moving on, all right, here's the last thing that I have Bitcoin related before we transition to the S&P 500. Update, corporations added nearly 100,000 Bitcoin to reserves in April. Strategy, of course, MicroStrategy bought 25,370 because they're insane. 15 new firms acquired Bitcoin last month per Bitwise. The thing that I care about the most is this last sentence here. 15 new firms acquired Bitcoin last month per Bitwise. That's the name of the game, and I mentioned in yesterday's video that Arizona is the first domino to fall in terms of states establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve, that they're going to put 10% into Bitcoin. That's very bullish. I want to see stuff like that. I want to see breadth. MicroStrategy doing what they're doing with Bitcoin. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about that, but the more and more we see this from new firms, from even new states, new countries, great. Sounds good. And I wouldn't be surprised if this just continued to climb. But eventually, we're at 746,000 right now. Eventually, they're going to have, now where's it going to come from, because they can't buy all the Bitcoin. But moving on, so some bullish S&P 500 stuff, which you guys should know by now, my opinion, that I do think we're going to rally to a lower high. I can't ignore what I'm seeing. I'm just sharing you data, and it may be data that I'm like, all right, this is challenging my perspective, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So here we go from David Marlin. We have had 16 NYSE breadth thrusts since 1939. The SPX was higher 6 months later, all 16 times. So 1939 was the only exception with 250 days return, but this is talking about 6 months later, so more like 190-day return every time. So we've just had the 17th signal trigger last week. So after the last 16 signals, the SPX was up 100% of the time in 130 and 190 days, and then one lone exception 200 days later. Is this time different? Another chart that goes along with this. The S&P 500 is up 6 days in a row with a total gain exceeding 7%. If the S&P 500 closes green today, the day that I'm making this video, it will be 6 straight days up with a total gain exceeding 7%. S&P 500 forward return, so we can see what this has looked like every other time. And once again, every other time we have been green 9 months later and 1 year later. So again, I'm asking the question, is this time different? And believe it or not, I am maintaining the opinion that this time is different. But I might be wrong. Okay, I fully admit I might be wrong. There's another post that I'm going to show you that has me of a mindset that I might actually be wrong. It's not this one, but let's just keep that in the back of your mind, okay, when it comes to whether or not I am wrong about the idea that we're entering a bear market and that the S&P 500 peak in February of 2025 was the peak for this year. All right. At one point, the S&P 500 was down over 11% in the month of April. Now it's down 1%. If it were to somehow close positive in April, it would be the largest intra-month comeback of all time. That's pretty wild. So once down 11%, now down 1%. Let's say this closes green. That's going to be that's very interesting. That's not something that we've seen before. So I'm also going to look at the S&P 500 chart at the end of this video. And I do want to look at the monthly candle just to see where we are with that. And wow, okay, what a recovery. And why would that recovery be? All right, I actually really, let me look at this chart first. And then this is why I'm a little bit hesitant with my mindset that I'm a bear for the rest of this year. It's simply this. The percentage of consumers expecting stocks to decline jumped by 23% over the last 3 months, a record jump in bearish sentiment. Consumers are just general, normal, everyday people. Is this worse? Is this a scarier moment than 2008? Is it a scarier moment than the dot-com crash? Is this a scarier moment than COVID? Is this a scarier the early 90s? Is this a scarier moment? I would argue no. Okay, I would argue that we've overreacted, that at least for the short term, we should still expect the S&P 500 to climb because retail is always wrong. That's just my mindset right now. I don't like the fact that the masses are agreeing with me because I've been of this mindset that we were going to enter a recession and that we were going to go down in the stock market and in crypto. Within a year after the first rate cuts, I've been of that mindset for 3 years. And now the masses are on the same side as me. That doesn't make me all that comfortable. I'm just going to admit that right now. That doesn't make me comfortable at all. So we'll see where we go from here. One more thing with the S&P 500. Sell in May and go away. Is that a thing? Is that a real thing? Well, here we go. Before you sell in May, just remember this month, May, not April. And it is May when you're watching this, but not when this tweet was made. Just remember, this month has been higher in 9 of the past 10 years. So, all right, the S&P 500 has closed green in 9 of the past 10 years. Now, it was a pretty significant drop in 2019, 6.6%, but every other time it's closed. So maybe it should just be sell in June and go away. And that would be nice, given where we are with global liquidity with Bitcoin, that maybe we're going to follow along with that. And instead of selling May, it'll be selling June. I actually am wondering if we're going to be selling our crypto in June. At least I will, because I do plan on selling a decent amount of my crypto. Now, okay, S&P 500, broken through the downtrend? Is this it? I've identified this yellow line here as the 200-day moving average. I have identified that as a level that I'm very curious about to see. If we break through that, I'm going to be a lot more optimistic for what the remainder of the year looks like. Somebody asked me for an invalidation of my opinion as to Bitcoin being $30,000 or so at the end of the year. Here's my invalidation. It's actually the S&P 500. It's break above the 200-day moving average in this whole thing. Amazingly, is the COVID crash. It's a repeat of the COVID crash. But I'm telling you right now with a great deal of conviction, the 200-day moving average, it seems very likely that we're going to get up there. That's going to be heavy resistance. I'm telling you right now, there are people who want to short the market, and they are frothing at the mouth, hoping that we get up to the 200-day moving average. So just keep that in mind. Let's look at the monthly candle just to see where the S&P 500 is now. And is it green yet? And it is not green yet, but wow, look at that. Look at that monthly candle. That's, that is a long wick there. So what if we turn green? And remember that tweet from a few posts ago. When was that? Here we go. At one point, the S&P 500 was down over 11% in the month of April. It's now down about 1%. What if it closed positive in April? That would be something else. But again, 200-day moving average is a significant level of resistance. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash up the like button, leave a comment in the comment section, all for the algorithm. Otherwise, I'm going to be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Time for another video. I'll see you then. Peace.